The CNN podcast is sponsored by the Dow Chemical Company, finding the bond between chemistry and humanity.
With the bailout, the bust, and the bankruptcies on Wall Street, do you feel like you need a superhero? Well, I'm telling you, who doesn't feel that way right now? You know, with the government bailout of AIG, when we were getting ready to cover that story this morning, I said, you know, there are two things that we need to stress. Number one is, if you have a policy with AIG, what are you supposed to do? And here's what Jen told the viewers on the show. So don't stop paying your premiums out of fear, because if that happens, then your policy will become worthless, right? Because you're not paying it, and that's your fault. You know, I always worry about making sure that our show is for the regular guy. I recognize that many of our viewers are not big-time investors and probably don't have a policy with AIG, so how can I be your superhero? Well, here's what the presidential candidates are saying about your pocketbook.
Too many people on Wall Street have been recklessly wagering instead of making the sound investments we expected of them. And when their economies collapse and their companies collapse, only the CEOs seem to escape the consequences, while employees, shareholders, and other victims are left with nothing but trouble and debt.
This morning, instead of offering up concrete plans to solve these issues, Senator McCain offered up the oldest Washington stunt in the book. You pass the buck to a commission to study the problem. Now, here's the thing. This isn't 9/11. We know how we got into this mess. What we need now is leadership that gets us out.
Well, no matter what the candidates are saying, the analysts are saying that we probably have a long way to go before Wall Street gets out of the big picture jitters here and the housing market gets back to where it should be. So hang on tight, folks. I need a hero. If you are a fan of Greg Kinnear, by the way, I'm over here at a hotel right next to CNN. If you're a fan of Greg Kinnear, did you know that he came this close to having my job? I'm just going to let him tell you about it. Seriously, you're a journalism major, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
What
Hi.
a gentleman.
That's a wild way to start a show,
I know
man.
it.
I don't know what's going on here at CNN, but this place is getting nuts.
Crazy train.
I like
Weren't you a
it.
journalism major?
I was.
Greg's here to not only promote one, but two movies he's got going out. Very busy man. So we're just going to get to the business right now. And since he used to be a journalism major, and at one point must have had aspirations to do this job, I'm going to say, if you were the journalist, what questions would you ask you about Ghost Town, which is out right now, by the way?
What sort of research did I do to play dead? Which, by the way, just so you know, I really committed to my work. I stopped my heart for about 11 minutes just to see what the sensation would be like.
I was dead, yeah, for 7 minutes. And then when they brought me back, Yeah, well, look, that's the thing. New York is lousy with ghosts. I mean, they're everywhere, and they're a noisy, pushy, demanding bunch, same as when they were alive, and frustrated, too. The dead have a lot of unfinished business, which is why we're still here. And normally we can't talk to the living, and suddenly you come along, and you can imagine, there's a lot of excitement.
Well, it's I die, and I have to go get this kind of awful man, this dentist played by Ricky, to try and stop my wife from marrying the wrong guy, because I'm convinced that I'm still stuck here in this ghostly state.
The next movie he is in, you're going to see, is Flash of Genius. So Flash of Genius is about a fella. He comes up with this great invention and then doesn't get credit for it. What does that do to your character?
Well, it's sent on a mission. This is a true story about a guy, Robert Kearns, who invented the intermittent windshield wiper and spent his entire life trying to get the Ford Motor Company to admit that they stole it. I did find myself really wanting this character to find satisfaction. And he takes on the Ford Motor Company by himself, ends up in a courtroom defending himself and finding success along the way. And you know, Ford messed with the wrong guy. In a way, it's a great American story. You know, there's more and more of us working for
Okay, I'll just start again with another question. You did a great job.
I just here. My equipment has.
Now the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes. During that interview, this camera went kerplunk while we were talking to Greg Kinnear, and that's because Rick just got back from the hurricane and his camera is still wet. Least I can do is show some of the video that he shot during the hurricane behind the scenes.
Here we go. I gotta go. We're here at Hurricane Ike in Baytown, Texas.
Bring it! Come on! That's all you got? Come on! Storm!
He's delirious.
I've gone over the edge.
Hey, I don't want you to think that just because we're on the news crew that we get any special treatment. We don't. Tim and I and the crew, Rick and Jeff, we're at the hotel and there's no room for us. So we're sitting and waiting. Don't you have any pull?
Hey, wait a minute. I thought you had the pull.
Check-in time?
No,
It was like 45 minutes ago, right? What did you ask?
I said, is your room ready? Is it not ready? No? Sorry. Hey, those are cool little things.
Okay, so, gosh, we had a lot going on in this podcast, didn't we? Well, why don't you come on down to the CNN Center, you hear, and take a tour. You never know who you might see in the bookstore. That's this podcast, and I'll see you in the morning, okay?